we're going to talk a little bit about Clima here. I'm going to tell you all about the hardware and the software. And then this is really going to be the focus of the next couple of hours. And we're going to dive into a lot of really great capabilities at Meadow. We're going to learn how we can do really amazing things in terms of adding hardware and connectivity and mobile devices, all kinds of coolness, but all centered around the climate station. We heard from you that you want to build climate stations. You want to know how to use this type of hardware. You want to know how to connect hardware IoT to mobile devices or other .NET platforms. Well, we're going to give it to you. So Clima. The Clima is, of course, a climate station. And the obvious part is the physical part here, where we've got a number of sensors, and we've got some great standard things like wind direction and wind speed. We can detect rain as well. And then, of course, the fun part here, this is the brains of the system. We've got our Meadow board mounted to a custom PCB. And this PCB is pretty important. There's a couple of really interesting things. So you can see the bottom here has a couple connections, and these are, of course, the connections so we can connect to our physical sensors. And on the other side of the board, there's another sensor. There's a BME 280, and we'll talk a lot about that for the day, but that has some sensors to do things like temperature, of course you want to know that, pressure, and humidity. So we've got a lot of capabilities here, and I'm going to point out something for you that are building your kits at home too. This is backwards. And that's very intentional. So you'll have this flipped around when you build your kit, so the metal will be on the inside. But I want you to be able to see this here. So yeah, it's a physical kit. It's powered by Meadow, but it's really more than that because it's an open source hardware and software platform. And I'm going to switch over to my desktop and pull up. I'm going to go to GitHub because this is really the best place to learn all about this. So Wilderness Labs, GitHub repo, and it's just called Clima. Clima is Spanish for climate. And if you go into the repo and scroll down, the README is pretty fantastic. You can see our beautiful hardware setup. And there's actually two versions of the hardware for Clima. There is this beautiful Pro kit. And if you order the kit off the Wilderness Labs website, you'll get all this amazing hardware and you'll get everything you need to put this together. There's also a variant that you can build from the Hack kit. And this one's kind of fun. So absolutely, it's a simplified version. We talked about that BME 280 in our kit. Well, the Hack kit version is going to use an analog temperature sensor. So the sensor capability is a little bit different, but the Hack kit version has the bonus. It incorporates a display. And again, these are things we can do we can hack these two things together. We can add display to our Hack kit Pro version, but it's actually both these versions have different capabilities, and they're both really great opportunities to learn how to build hardware. Which I think leads to a next really important point, that these kits are, of course, extensible. It's open hardware, open source. And so these are meant to be starting points. So they are going to be fully featured, fully working out of the box. We can deploy the source code. We can do amazing things with them. But they're really meant as a kickoff point for you to build the systems you want. So you're going to see examples throughout the day using Clima. Does things like Bluetooth connectivity. Of course, our Meadow boards have Bluetooth capability thanks to our ESP32. Has REST capabilities as well, thanks to the Maple server. We're going to learn more about that. And I want to show just a couple of other really quick things. And then we're going to get to dive right into it and really look at some of the source code with Meadow Foundation. So beautiful here, if you have the Hack kit, we've got the full wiring diagram. And you'll notice we don't have a fritzing for the Pro version. And the reason is we don't really need it. All we have to do is plug the Meadow board onto the physical board, onto a PCB, and then your wiring is basically done. But for the Hack kit version, this is pretty fantastic. Again, see how to wire up the analog temperature sensor, bring in our display, and again, lots of room to add other sensors or extend. Now, before I move on, let's take a quick look at the source code. So you come to GitHub. Actually, I'm going to show you one more thing first before I jump over to Visual Studio. If you go into the repo, I'm going to switch over to the main branch. So you notice we have the source code, of course, but we also have the hardware design and the industrial design. So if we go into industrial design, this is all the STLs and the source for the enclosure. So this one here, this is 3D printed. There's a lid for it as well, which I think is hanging on the table behind me. There's also a 3D printed bracket in behind it. You probably can't see on camera. And we also have the bill of materials and everything you need. So you can buy this kit through the Wilderness Lab website, but it's all open source. we document every part. We include all the necessary requirements for 3D printing all the materials. You can build this kit from scratch, and I'll just open up the CSV file. Not the prettiest thing to see, but just again, full build materials, all open source, open hardware, open software. Again, meant to be a really fun place to learn IoT and do some hacking. If we go over to the project, here I've got this open in Visual Studio Pro on Windows. This will, of course, work beautifully on VS for Mac, or you can even open it in your favorite new lightweight editor, Visual Studio Code. And you'll see several projects. So I'm going to spend some time today in the Clima. I'm going to zoom in here. In the Clima Meadow Pro project. So this is the source code that's designed to run on this hardware here. Right above it is the Meadow Hack Kit project. And that is meant to work on the Hack Kit version. I've got the hardware here. You'll see that more later today as well. There's a few other fun ones. There's a mini server, and that can be used to do basic communication from Meadow to a local running server. Again, a really great starting point. And then up above, this is a ton of fun. There's a full Xamarin client application, and that's going to be used to talk to your Meadow, your Clima build over BLE or via the Maple. So again, you will spend lots of time here, but again, you've got a lot of source code, everything you need to get going. And I'll just show you right here in the bottom left-hand corner. This is in fact running and actively reading data right now. And if we give it a spin, we might even be able to see some new sensor data coming in from the wind direction and the wind speed.